4th of July, fireworks in the sky, but the truth's still buried underground. Royal Oak, yeah. They told me, wave the flag while the chains still clank. Told me praise the names on the blood-soaked banks. Told me freedom was born in the room full of men who wrote liberty down while they own human skins. The fucking founding fathers and the myths they made. I don't pledge to the lie, I don't kneel to the page. You can light up the sky, I remember the smoke from the fields, from the ships, from the necks in the rope. You call it independence, I call it selective. You call it patriotic, I call it protective. Of the story so fragile it cracks when questioned. Truth knocks once and they call it aggression. Yeah. Red for the blood they spill, white for the lies they told, blue for the bruises left on the bodies they sold. Don't ask me to celebrate what never included mine. I came with the receipts, I came to redraw the line. Fuck your founding fathers, I don't owe them praise. They built a nation on our backs, then told us smile through the pain. Fuck your founding fathers, let the fireworks cry. This ain't freedom for the people. If the truth still gotta hide, yeah. No justice, no peace, no lie gets crowned. We don't worship old ghosts when the roots scream loud. Fuck your founding fathers. On the 4th of July, I'm lighting up the truth while they light up the sky. They say, look how far we came. I say, look what it cost. Every courthouse got a shadow, every victory got lost. They gave statues to the takers, made heroes out of thieves. Put their faces on the money while the hungry couldn't breathe. Don't lecture me on freedom from a stolen land stage. Don't quote old documents with blood on the page. Don't tell me be grateful for a seat at the table when my people built the room and got treated unstable. You can't buy me through the truth, you can dress it in stars, but the anthem still echoes like chains behind bars. I don't hate the people, I hate the disguise. I hate when the guilty get praised as the wise. Red for the blood they spill, white for the lies they told, blue for the bruises left on the bodies they sold. Don't ask me to celebrate what never included mine. I came with the receipts, I came to redraw the line. Fuck your founding fathers, I don't owe them praise. They built a nation on our backs, then told us smile through the pain. Fuck your founding fathers, let the fireworks cry. This ain't freedom for the people. If the truth still gotta hide, no justice, no peace, no lie gets crowned. We don't worship old ghosts when the roots scream loud. Fuck your founding fathers. On the 4th of July, I'm lighting up the truth while they light up the sky. Don't call it hate when the wound speaks back. Don't call it division when our name was fact. Don't call it progress while the system still bites. Don't call it freedom if we still gotta fight. I'm not here for comfort, I'm not here to pretend. I'm here for the children who deserve better than this. Better than myths, better than chains, better than flags used to cover up pain. So this one's for the ancestors who never got rest, for the names never written but who gave us their best, for the mothers who prayed, for the fathers who ran, for the babies born fighting in the stolen man's plan. This is not disrespect, this is correction. This is not rebellion, this is resurrection. You can keep your parade, I keep speaking the truth. I don't need permission to remember my roots. Royal oak in the soil, truth in the flame. If the crown came with silence, then I don't want the name. But if the crown means standing when the whole world falls, then I'm 10 toes down till the real story's told. Fuck your founding fathers, I don't owe them praise. They built a nation on our backs, then told us smile through the pain. Fuck your founding fathers, let the fireworks cry. This ain't freedom for the people. If the truth still gotta hide, no justice, no peace, no lie gets crowned. We don't worship old ghosts when the roots scream loud. Fuck your founding fathers. On the 4th of July, lighting up the truth while they light up the sky. Fireworks fade. truth don't die. Royal low. 4th of July. Not your midnight, not your lie, not your version of my life.
Right. Hello, everyone. Grand Rising. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your Saturday morning wake up call. So, as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. All right. So, let's get ready to get into it. Hey, Rich John, Elvis is here, Chris. All right, let's get it popping, Coco Feather. Okay, Lillian X, Jerron. All right, the lounge is here. Okay, Terry Hinton, no charge. All right, A for Shambe Laja. I hope I said that right. Truth Brown is here. All right, Shoshana. Let's get into it, Cutie Pie. Mel is here. All right, Marie, needed some mic swirl. Okay, Byron is here. Star Jammer, TB. Okay, real eyes recognize real lies. All right. Marie, I see you. Paul Parody is here. Shout out to all of my loyal Rose and everyone tuned into the Queen. And a big shout out to my moderators, because y'all know they be putting in work. All right. Just so you guys know, okay, I'm not going to be on here for 2 hours. Y'all can miss me with it because I have to come back. I have been up gathering receipts and doing research. Okay. Now, the broadcast, I told y'all that I was going to do this in exclusive. I'm going to do that later because I got to get this stuff out first. Stuff just keeps popping up. More and more information. Angel the Messenger is here. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. Everybody hit that like button. Thank you in advance. I mean, it is the least you can do, and it doesn't cost you a single thing. Hey, Deronda, Too Juicy, Equator, Dabul. Okay, let's get it popping. First of all, before we get started, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes. Here we go.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes Hair Oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. And you can also find her products at Walmart.com. And don't forget that she sells beard oil and she frequently has sales. Okay, all right. Hello, Leon. Jessica just coming in. My favorite Iranian, Ashkan, is here. All right, hey Ashkan. Now let's get into it. Mr. Elevation, where did you come from? Okay, let's get it started. Okay, so listen, for those of you who missed the broadcast last night, at the end of the day, hold on, we got a troll already. Let me just go ahead and get rid of the troll. I don't know why these trolls are up so early in the morning here, coming in here talking about that's bullshit. Well, if it's bullshit, why are you here? Why are you here, ma'am, or sir, or we, them, us, or they? I don't know your pronouns. Okay. They really be trying us. They are so mad. Okay. They are so mad. Why you block me? Why you being a hater? Because you are a hater, beloved. Okay? How'd you get back in here? You must have 2 accounts. Look, I blocked her on one account. She came right back talking trash. Why'd you block me? You being a hater. I'm a hater. You're the one that came here talking slick. Who do you think's going to let you come to their channel talking trash fresh out the paint? You could have at least said Grand Rising. Okay? You could have at least said Grand Rising. How if you're going to be a troll, be a good one. See, here's the thing, trolls. Let me give you all a lesson in etiquette. If you want to troll someone's channel successfully and you don't want to get kicked out as soon as you hop in, you might want to just sit back and act like you have some sense just for a few minutes or so. And then When we get deep into the topic, that's when you try to cause your distraction and start talking crazy and calling us the N words and calling us, telling us we're chimping out and all that. You know how y'all mega minions love to do. Okay. They think they make us mad, honey. I pay them no mind. But anyway, enough about all that. Let's get into it. That's right. JP Money said, act natural. You know they can't do it, beloved. They just can't. Okay, so that all being said, let's get into it because as I was telling you all, last night we listened to what that psychic medium had to say, and that left me more perplexed, okay? Because here's the thing. This is what I don't want to do, beloveds. I don't want to be running around in circles like a dog chasing its tail. I don't want to be going on a wild goose chase, okay? I don't want to be looking over here when we should be looking over there. Okay, and that's what it's starting to seem like we're doing. That's what it's starting to give because we think we're on to something, then something else comes out. At this point, let's not, it's going to be kind of hard to do that, but I was going to suggest that from this point, let's just not pinpoint any one person. Let's just continue to gather the receipts because first it's looking like it's Warren, then it started looking like it was Bart. Then it just started looking real crazy. And now the medium comes out and it's talking about some 35-year-old man. Now, with that all being said, do you all have any idea? Put a one in the chat if you do. If you have any idea when the medium that we listened to last night, because I knew I had an idea of who, if I don't even know what she said is true. It was for entertainment purposes only. It all is. But here's the thing. When she said something about a 35-year-old, right? Did you all have any idea who she could have been talking about if what she said was in fact true? Because I had several questions, but I tell you what. Hold on, I'm about to send this to my email because this is the first person I thought about. Because you all may remember when I first saw this guy's picture, I said, who is that old artist looking dude? And why is he with all those young people? I have several questions. You all don't remember me telling you all that? Put a one in the chat if you remember. I said, who is that? He looks like he's way too old to be hanging with them. And I said, it's giving me, really, it was like cringe. Hold on. I'm going to pull it up in just a second. Now, I'm not saying what the medium said was true, but I'm just saying it could be. We don't know the ins and outs. The only thing that really was questionable is because that would mean that he wasn't on that boat when that call came in. So let me just show you all who I first thought of when she said a 35-year-old who tricked them and manipulated them. Isn't that what she said? This dude right here. You all remember from day one, I said, why is his old looking self there with them kids? Look at him. He looks way too old to be hanging around them. Okay? The one with the USA on his chest. And then I told you all, look how young the girls look. They look like they're way too young to be around him. And this dude right here looks scared to death. Remember I told you all that? And there's no right there with Warren with his arm around him. But guess what? Forget about all of that. That was yesterday's research. Now we're on to something else. We're on to something else because, you know, I've been sitting up here thinking about all these lies that have been told, and specifically the lies that Warren has told. And you know what it started looking like to me? It started looking like to me that they didn't really like Nolan like that, which I'm sure we've already figured that out, listening to them talk and the way they've behaved. But the thing of it is I think that Nolan was maybe like a third wheel. And I'm going to show you why. Janara says, Queen, I've been wondering what the law says about autopsies and organs when it pertains to the parents' rights. When they're doing autopsies, I don't think the parents really have any rights about that. When the police are trying to conduct an investigation to see if it's a homicide specifically or anything like that, beloved, I don't know that they have any rights as far as trying to tell them not to take out the organs, because that is a very big, intricate part of performing the autopsy. And then at the same time, the parents want answers. So, I mean, just think about this. They didn't even allow the parents to view the body, if you all remember. They didn't even allow them to see Nolan. He was identified solely by dental records. Okay, so that lets you know right there that they didn't give the parents any leeway. What they said is what went. Okay, so now let's get into these receipts because I find it all interesting. Hold on, let me delete this real quick. Okay, so they said lately they have been saying, and I find it very interesting that they have said that Nolan's been drunk. But hold on, let me get back to what I was saying first. Let me get back to what I was saying first. Like I was telling you all, I don't want to be looking in the wrong direction, spending all this time researching over here when I should be over there. And it reminded me of when I was in college and we had this competition and other schools came to my school and we had this, it was like a mock crime scene investigation, right? And so my team was all dressed up in the real, the real looking authentic crime scene gear. Of course, that was my idea. We had the little things on our head and all of that, and the things you put on your shoes. I mean, we had the whole thing going, gloves and all that, you name it, right? And we looked very professional. But there was one problem. We might have looked good, but we were on the wrong trail. Okay, we're going around here gathering and collecting all this evidence, and you only have like a certain amount of time to do it before the next group starts. Just bear with me. I'm trying to make a point here. So, with that all being said, we're looking and gathering all this information and evidence, right? And they had a fake, scenario of a crime scene or whatever. Somebody got killed in a building late night, and it was only like 3 people there, and we had to figure out which one did it and how and all this. Let me tell you something. We spent about 20 minutes, and we only had 30, but we spent about 20 minutes lollygagging around, gathering up all this evidence, thinking we're doing something and thinking we're looking good and professional while we did it. Only to lose, okay? Only to lose, sadly. And here's why we lost. Because we were so fixated on trying to be better than everybody else and gathered up everything that we saw that even could potentially be evidence. The main evidence was sitting on our darn faces and we overlooked it. I literally saw it. I literally looked right at it. You know what it was? It was a disc. Mm-hmm. And on that disc, which I didn't even bother to pick up because I'm too busy looking for like a knife, a gun, a smoking gun. Okay, literally. So, because that's what people think. Well, not everyone, but clearly that's what we were thinking. It's a crime scene. Somebody got killed. We need to be looking for weapons. We need to look for, any sorts of blood residue or clothing fiber. These are all the things we were looking for. But guess what? The team that beat us, you know how long it took them to win after we spent 20 of our 30 minutes in there looking like fools, clearly. And then so this other group comes in right after us. They were in that room for 10 damn minutes and they solved the crime. You know why? Because the answer was on the damn disc that I saw first. The answer was on the disc. When you put the disc in and played it, it showed you everything. It showed you who the killer was, when they came in, how they came in, and how they killed the person and why they killed them. It was all on video. So I said all that to say this. That's not what I want to be doing here. Okay. I don't want to be just looking all around and just doing all of this stuff and we're not getting anywhere. We have to keep in mind that people are putting up traps for us to stop us and to hinder us. Now, someone sent my friend Secret Service Sam, they sent him this information last night that sounded so juicy and salacious. And right as I was about to call him and talk to him about it, he got back online and said, hey, listen, guys, I'm sorry. Whoever sent me that, and I'm sure you know the rest. And I was like, damn it, man. So you can't be trusting. And this is why I say we have to be very careful and vet the information because people send me stuff all the time too. And I'm looking at it like, okay, this looks crazy. Okay, yeah, that sounds real crazy. Oh yeah, I'm definitely not going to report that. You have to sift through it, especially if you're someone who's credible and you're not someone who's lying and paid narratives. They'll try to send you bull crap so that, and I'm talking about the MAGA minions who don't want us to get to the truth of the matter. They will try to send you things to throw you off of the trail. Okay, to distract you and have you looking all the way over here. Let me give you a prime example. Let me give you all a prime example. Now, I saw this sweet little lady. She did a video and someone else was boosting up. Said, girl, you done cracked the case and all this and that, right? She basically, and it was easily debunked. Hold on. Let me make sure I have that receipt. And I just want you all to pay attention. Just want you all to pay attention. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, here it is right here. Now listen to this lady right here. She's like, oh, she's a genius. She cracked the case. Now I'm listening because I'm hoping she did crack it. Because listen, I don't care who cracks it as long as somebody does so we can get justice. So I was listening real hard and I'm like, lady, hurry up, spit it out. Why are you talking so much? And then when she said what she said, I'm like, girl, that's not even it. But hold on. I'm going to pull this up. Like stuff, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Here we go.
Oh, I think this girl figured the entire thing out. I think she figured, like, she is a mad genius, a mad scientist. I think this young lady has cracked the code. It's simple, it's brilliant. I think she has figured it out. So I have been wondering, and it's been bothering me ever since I heard the CETO. What has bothered me is the contradiction. Here's the grandpa. The captain just happened to get a call from the grandpa randomly. Grandpa says that they're fine. They, by their GPS coordinates, are in shallow water, yet they're like, we're sinking. Yet they can't even describe to Vicky how much water is in the boat. So they're not sinking. They're not panicking. They're not asking for, the Coast Guard. Right. And I was like, all of this sounds so bizarre. And Vicky don't know what's going on. Right. But this young lady figured it out. I think she's cracked the case, y'all. Call up the committee for the Nobel Peace Prize. I think she's cracked it. Listen.
That phone call was them speaking in code. Jeffrey Akerson? Yeah, try that. Try Jeffrey Akerson. Hey, Captain, here's a bunch of kids. Yeah, they just sound so distressed. They said their boat is sinking, and I don't know. He just told me about his grandfather, but he couldn't give me any more information. And, oh, I don't really have time to really help any non-members at this point. Yeah, but like, check, see, Jeffrey's is, yeah. Oh, Jeffrey. Oh, his grandfather. Yeah, he called me, and he said that, his grandson, they figured it out. They don't need any help at this time. But let me talk to the grandson, and then I'll call the grandpa. Click. Y'all, they're speaking in code. The captain is in on it. Vicky not in on it. That's why Vicky actually panicking. Captain cool, calm, collected. Oh, I don't really have time for any non-members, but Jeffrey's a member. So why did you? Because Vicky wouldn't let it go. So now the grandpa did call me, and they said they got to figure it out. So they're sinking, but all of a sudden they good? No. Yeah, let me talk to the grandson so we can. Y'all in on it. Captain is in on it. The tow company, the captain, yeah, they gonna tow a boat to another island, a boat carrying Nolan. Why are they doing all this? Why does it seem like so many people are involved? A judge is going to lie outwardly.
Okay, I'm just going to stop her right there so we don't waste any more of our time on a wild goose chase. Because here's the thing. Now, that sounded all kind of salacious, right? But ma'am, that's not it. And here's why you know that's not it. This young lady right here is a former dispatcher for one of those tow companies. And here's what she had to say about what that young lady just said.
I am a former employee of one of the largest boat towing companies in the world. Okay. And I'm pretty sure, just like me, everyone else has seen that the audio has been leaked from CETO. Okay. I feel as though that a lot of the videos that I have been seeing, everyone is pinpointing the fact that I forgot the guy's name. He kept stating that he was a member. I just want to let you guys know that I don't think that has any ties into what actually happened to Nolan. I don't think that's any like coding or anything like that, because in order to be serviced on the water, you have to be a member. So he's just saying that his grandfather is a member of CETO. However, I do not think that Vicky assessed that situation correctly at all. Because number one, she allowed them to deny getting serviced by the Coast Guards. That would have never happened if that was my phone call. because the Coast Guards would have been out there immediately. And I've already got his, I believe he said that they were like on the hook or something. So, girl, I would have pinpointed that and got those coordinates right there, and I would have dispatched those Coast Guards out there to him immediately. Because not only that, her as a dispatcher, I would have also been a little bit concerned as to what I heard in the beginning of the call. Just like her, I know we all heard the same thing in the beginning of the call. We heard that someone was unalive. I would have, as a dispatcher, circled back to that and asked him, excuse me, can you repeat that again? I'm confused. Because how did she just like let that just be up in the air like that? That was weird. That was very alarming. I feel like CITO, they need to do a little bit better with their training, because no, ma'am, there's no way that situation should have been handled in that matter at all. I don't really feel that.
Okay, now there's that. So that's another theory debunked. Let me just save y'all the trouble. Okay, because she actually worked for the place. Now, with that, or for one of those places previously. Now, here's another. See, sometimes we be out here reaching, and I'm not going to say that maybe I've been reaching too at some points. I don't usually reach, but I'm not going to say that I've never reached, is all I'm saying. Now, listen to this. Somebody posted this. Now, they did a whole video. I'm not going to waste your time and show you the video, but I want you to see that they thought this was a clue. And they said, oh, is this a subliminal? So let me just show you what they thought was a clue. Now, this was posted, they say, on July the 19th by Bart's father, whom recently made his profile private. Check out this weird caption. Okay, so they thought this was weird. First of all, let me ask, are there any men or women? Is there anyone in the chat who goes fishing? Put a 1 in the chat. If you're somebody who goes fishing, then you might know that what she said was just a reach. Okay, pay attention. Now, so she's talking about a post that Bart's father made. Bart Edmondson Jr. Or no, Bart actually made it, because she said in the video she didn't know if he made it or his father made it, but clearly it says Bart Edmondson Jr. came home. Yeah, it was the father. I'm sorry. He's talking about Bart Jr. Okay, Bart Edmondson Jr. came home, and he and Brooks took Hawk out trout fishing. Brooks caught the one that got away, and he hit it he hit it in the back of the head. Okay, so he hit the fish in the back of the head. Now, if you remember, Nolan had that bruising in the back of his head, the discoloration, right? That deep red discoloration that Nancy Grace was trying to figure it all out, and near the occipital bone. So she said, is that a clue? Is that a subliminal? Well, I'm going to tell you it isn't, because I've gone fishing before with my granddad growing up and all that stuff. And what that is, listen, that is what they do to fish. Okay, hitting them in the head is one of the most recognized methods, okay, for killing them quickly and humanely. And in fact, it's called percussion. Okay, so that's not a clue either. So that's what I'm saying. They got us out here grasping at straws. Now we got to get to the gist of the matter so we can figure this all out. But I do believe that we're all working a whole lot harder than Sheriff Ledbetter is, okay, if I had to venture to guess. All right, so like stuff, everyone, please like and share. Now let's get into some real receipts. Let's get into it, because first off, they kept saying that Nolan was drunk, right? They kept using that to paint a narrative in all of this. So first, let's go to some of what Bart was saying. We'll get to the drunk part in a minute, but let's go to Bart. I'm going to go in the order that I have these receipts in my email, because I don't want to be all over the place. Okay, so let's first go to Bart. I want to go to part 1 of when he was talking to Tap Dancing Tatum, because this is when I started to realize that we already had figured out, as we could see clearly, they were not really No-No's friends. But I started to see a different picture, okay? I started to see a different picture after I listened again and again and again to certain clips. Okay, American Indian Me said, wow, Queen, I did not know they weren't allowed to see their son's body. That's diabolical. Yes, beloved, they weren't allowed to identify him. That's why they got the dental records. And that, to me, was very telling. I mean, of course, his face was unrecognizable, but whether or not they wanted to see him should have been their choice, not Sheriff Ledbetter's, right? Okay, so let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen. Like stuff, everyone, please like and share. Now, for our convenience, I got clips. Okay, just brief clips of the interview that I want to show you all. Just different clips, so we don't have to go through the whole thing and all of that. Now, let me put an overlay on here. Now, listen closely to everything that Warren says.
Nolan, who was he to you?
Nolan, I could describe Nolan in a million ways. I mean, Nolan was not just a best friend of me, but he was a brother. I grew up through elementary, middle school, high school, and even our freshman year of college. You know, we talked on the phone all the time. We were really close friends. And I mean, Nolan was like a brother to me. And Nolan lit up every room he walked in. He always had a smile on his face. He always had something good to say. I've never seen Nolan get in an argument with somebody and say bad things about someone. You know, there's a lot of people that talk crap nowadays, and Nolan was never that person. Sweetest soul ever. And I mean, I had a great relationship with Nolan. I've never got in an argument with Nolan. We were super close, and I've never said or will ever have any.
I want you all to pay attention. Now, first off, when he asked him, Tap Dancing Tatum asked him, what was Nolan to you, or who was Nolan to you? He really didn't have a lot to say. If you notice, he said twice in the span of 2 minutes, he said twice that Nolan was like a brother to him. He said, I grew up in elementary and middle school, and when we got older, we used to talk on the phone all the time. He either said high school or college, right? He was not friends with Nolan when Nolan was in elementary school. I don't believe that, because if clearly he were, then Nolan's mother would absolutely have known him. Because when you're that little, the parents have to get you all together. You all can't come visit each other without the parents being involved. So why did he even throw that in? That was a deceptive tactic, just like what Jolly Good Ginger was talking about. And I don't know if he pointed out that specifically, but that's clearly a deceptive tactic. Okay, because he didn't say I knew Nolan since kindergarten and elementary. He said, you know, I used to go to elementary, I used to go to middle school, and then first of all, we all went to middle school and elementary and all of the above. Okay, pay attention. Now he keeps saying that Nolan's like his brother. I've never heard Nolan say anything bad about anybody. I've never seen him get into an argument. Then he says, me and Nolan have never gotten into an argument. He was just the sweetest person. First of all, what man describes their guy friend as sweet? And I'm not talking about LGBTQ, but why would a man describe his friend as sweet? Is that the most sugary thing he could think of? Like, I mean, he seemed like he was at a loss for words. If someone asked me, I'm just going to give you an example. If someone asked me, what is my best friend to me? I would say she's a confidant. She's someone I can talk to. She's my road dog. We hang out together. You know, we do things together. We've traveled. I've known her for 20 years. Okay? She's like a sister to me. I love her. I do anything for her. She'll do anything for me. I can trust her with all of my deepest secrets, and vice versa. But I wouldn't have to sit there and keep saying, oh, she's like a sister to me twice in 2 minutes, and then start talking about she's never argued with anybody. What the hell does that have to do with you? He didn't ask you what kind of person is Nolan, or does Nolan ever get upset or angry? Is Nolan ever argumentative? Does Nolan ever say bad things about people? He said, who was Nolan to you? And then he starts saying all this other stuff is just fluff. But let's keep going, because this is not even what I'm talking about.
Anything bad to say about Nolan Wells.
Yeah, and you guys, you said you kind of grew up together.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know his mom, or how was that? Because I saw in the media where it appears that she may have said, at least I saw in part, that she said as if she didn't know any of you guys.
Right. Well, Nolan, a lot of the times it was at like my house and at my buddy's house. We never went to Nolan's house and hung out. I mean, and my friend group's very, very tight knit. I mean, we hang out every day when we're back home from school. In high school, we hung out most weekdays and every day on the weekend. And I mean, we were never at Nolan's house. which, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. But I met his father, and I mean, in 8th grade, Nolan, that's when Nolan and I like got really close. It was COVID year, and we were in class all year long together, me and a couple of my buddies, and Nolan and I just got super tight because we'd get a Waffle House once a week together, eat, and I mean, we were just super, super close. But his dad would swing by Waffle House, you know, and like, you know, hang out around us, but never, you know, I was never around Nolan's parents a lot, but I mean, that didn't.
Now, this is your best friend. Yes, he's searching for words. Exactly. So hold on, let me get this straight. So this is your friend who's like your brother. This is your best friend, and you never, ever hung out at his house? Where they do that at? Okay, because my son's friends all hung out at my house. They spent the night. I'd take them out for pizza. I'd take them to the mall. I'd drop them off at games. Okay? It's like their second mom. What are you talking about? Okay, what are you talking about? Every best friend that my sons ever had, I knew them. They were always welcome at my home. My sons were always welcome at theirs. So that makes no sense. And he's trying desperately to make it make sense. Okay, that's what he's trying to do. But let's keep going, because none of this is even what I'm talking about. Here it comes now.
It changed our relationship, and Nolan and I were still just as close, and he was just as close with my friends as, you know, anyone else. So,
and walk me through the day of 4th of July where you guys were all going out.
Right.
This seems like something that I would assume that may have occurred more than just this year.
Yeah, of course.
Was it something that you guys did more than just this year? This is a 2-part question. I want to know, is it something that you guys typically did together, that you hang out often in this fashion? And then I want you to then walk me through 4th of July this year when the incident happened.
Okay.
First of all, Tater Tot Tatum gave him too much. Right there. I want you to pay attention. See, Tatum thinks he's trying to help, and he is trying to help, but he's giving this kid more than he can process. You can't ask him all of these questions with all these different moving parts, because he's already got a script in his head. In my opinion, let me say allegedly, I'm not trying to get sued, Bart. I saw somebody on TikTok that won't even say Bart's name any longer. They're calling him Smart. I might call him a few names, but Smart won't be one of them. But let me continue. Now, with that all being said, Black Cherry says, thank you, Queen. Grand Rising. I will be good. I love your show. Well, thank you, beloved. I love you. Thank you for your kind words and contribution. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, now listen to this, because this is the part right here that I picked up on this morning as I was listening to this. Now watch. He's asking him what happened on the day of.
You know, being from the Gulf Coast, there's a boating and fishing is very, very popular. The 4th of July, every year, my friends and I, or my family and I, are out on the water. I mean, that's the one day is guaranteed everybody's going out. And that's a known thing. Everybody's trying to get a ride out to Horn Island, or, you know, people go to Ship Island, but most of everybody from Ocean Springs and the Gulf Coast go to Horn Island. And, you know, we went last year. Nolan was on the boat with me last year, and he was, I mean, this was a common thing. My friends go on the boat when we're home. Very, very common. That's what we like to do. My friends like to fish.
Now, what is all of this, him talking about, you know, how many times they've gone to Horn Island, they like to fish? Was that the question? Yeah, it wasn't. So why is he giving us all this fluff? Let's continue. This is someone who's buying time. When people do this, okay, let me just tell you, when people do this, it is a stalling tactic. They're trying to get their thoughts together so they can answer in a way that makes it make sense, because they're being deceptive. They're trying to come up with, you know, their talking points. So in the meantime, they're just saying whatever. And all that is just fluff. It's not even relevant to the story. It's just a way to buy time.
Also, and like to go on the boat, not just fishing, but like to go on the boat, like to go on sunset cruises, like to do it all, you know, on the water, you know. And I mean, Nolan loved to do that too. I mean, he was not like he was just like everyone else in our friend group. He loved to go on the water and, you know, have a good time.
Let me tell you something else. When he keeps talking about his friend group, he's talking about his white tea friends, okay? When he keeps referring to his friend group, I want you to pay attention because this is what let me know that Nolan was the outsider of their group. He continuously kept saying, my friend group. And if you notice, even before that, he said at some point, he said, and he got along with my other friends. He got along with my friends as well. He got along with my friends as well. So that lets you know there's a separation, there's a divide. They were not all friends. He had his friends, just like Nolan had his other friends, because I told you all, Nolan seemed to have had a group of white friends and a group of black friends, and the two didn't seem to merge, except for Jalen and Javon, and they're biracial. But the other friends that we saw at the funeral, the ones we saw at his mom's house in the video, we never see pictures of all of them with these guys right here. So when he's saying, my friends, that lets you know that Nolan, when he's around them, he was clearly the odd man out. But there's further information that he'll say that lets you know that even more.
The guys, and that's what we did a lot. But 4th of July, everybody was out there. Like I said, like Nolan was always trying to go on the boat, trying to go out there with us. And he was always welcome to come. Nolan was always.
Stop right there. He said Nolan was always trying. That means he wasn't invited. Nolan was always trying to get on the boat. Nolan was always trying to go out there with us. But he was always welcome. Now he threw that in probably because he realized how it sounded. And it sounded just like he meant it. Nolan was not welcome. They really didn't want Nolan to go. And guess what? Guess what? They didn't really want Nolan to go that day. And I don't even know if Nolan actually went with them the year before on the 4th of July. I don't think he did. Now, he said that, but I don't believe it. Now, if Nolan's parents come out and say that, that's a different thing. But I don't believe Nolan went there with them before. And I darn sure don't think they wanted him to go this time, because just keep listening and it's going to reveal itself. And just like you just heard him say, Nolan was always trying. I don't have to try to go anywhere with my best friend, okay? Because she'll ask me to go, all right? And if I want to go, or if I ask her, it's a yes. Why do I have to try? Like I have to beg you, or I have to just, keep asking or whatever. Okay, so G from the land said your reporting is second to none, Queen. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, now let's get into this.
Out there with us. And but started 4th of July, my buddies and I had talked about this week's upcoming, everybody's very, very excited for the 4th of July from down here. Like it's a big thing.
It's a big deal.
Very, very big deal. And I actually stayed with Nolan that night at my buddy's house, and I woke up at my buddy's house, and we went to McDonald's, got food. Nolan was not with me. And
stop right there. That's what I noticed. He said that they spent, now listen to this. He said they spent the night with his friend, with his buddy, not Nolan's buddy, but his buddy. We got up the next morning and went to go get breakfast. Nolan wasn't with me. Now ask yourself, why in the hell would they get up and go for breakfast, but Nolan wasn't with them? Please pay attention. Why would they get up, go for breakfast? They all spent the night there at his friend's house, but they got up and went for breakfast, and Nolan didn't go with them. Now, I don't know why he didn't go with them, but doesn't that seem a bit strange? Was he not invited? Did y'all leave him laying there sleeping? Did y'all leave before he finished getting dressed? He may be distancing himself, beloved, but I believe this is absolutely what happened. He can't distance himself before they go on the trip, because we already know that they spent the night together. So there's no reason to distance yourself. It would behoove him to have been hanging out with Nolan, who he just lied and said was his best friend and like his brother. So that makes no sense. And even if he's trying to say that just to distance himself, it's coming off as cringe. It's given that you didn't like Nolan, you didn't want him around. You literally said that he tried to get on the boat. Oh, but he was welcome to come. Well, if he was welcome to come, why wasn't he invited? Because had he been invited, he would not have had to try to come. They didn't like Nolan. And I'm going to tell you also why they didn't go to Nolan's house. Pay attention. Pay attention. Because all of you who have Black parents, which is most of you, if y'all know one thing, you know this, that the things about fake friends that we may not see when we were young, guess who saw it? Your parents. And my mother would call me off to the side and say, come here, let me tell you something. You see that little girl over there? Yeah, she doesn't really like you, okay? And you don't need to be hanging out with her and this and that, da, da, da. That's what Black parents will tell you because they can see the things that we can't. So they didn't want to go. Never went to his house. He always hung out at y'all's house. Y'all didn't want his parents to see how y'all really felt about him because poor little Nolan couldn't see it because he was nice and sweet. He was accepting and all of that. I'm sure he was. But you felt like his parents, specifically his father, if he was at home, you probably figured he might just notice how y'all really act or how y'all really feel. Or you may have had to have been overly nice to try to cover it all up. Okay? But let's keep listening. Got up and went for breakfast and didn't invite Nolan, clearly.
I went and got breakfast. I had my buddy's boat hooked up to my truck. And well, first I ran to my house, then I went to McDonald's and came back and the boat was already hooked up to my truck. My buddy Wyatt and I went and with my buddy and we went, topped the boat off, loaded it down with ice and just got everything ready.
He said, my buddy and I, Wyatt, they went and got ice. Now, there's no mention of Nolan. And weren't they spending the night at Wyatt's house? So if y'all all spent the night at Wyatt's house, why did you get up, go for breakfast, didn't take Nolan, and then you and Wyatt go and get ice and stuff for the boat, and y'all don't take Nolan? What's up with that? What's up with that? That's not making any sense. These dudes were not his friends.
Then Wyatt went and put his smaller boat in the water, which is the Palm Beach. He's an 18-foot.
Now watch what he says next. And what he says in a second is going to let you know that he definitely didn't want Nolan to go with them. You know how I know that? Because he didn't even want to ride on the boat with Nolan. Pay attention.
Palm Beach, and I drove the boat from Fort Bayou boat launch to my buddy's grandparents' house, and that's where
he drove it to Fort Bayou's boat launch, his buddy's grandparents' house. Now, would that be Bart? Because you know they said Bart lives in Fort Bayou, but let's keep listening.
We all planned to meet up that day. And
you say we all, who you talking about?
That was Bart. That was Bart. So here's the thing I want you all to pay attention to. Hold on. So remember how they said they were going to sue Kimberly, the creator? Okay, they said that she doxed Bart. Bart needs to be suing Warren. Warren's the one who doxed him. Warren just said, now watch this, I'm putting the pieces together. Remember, you heard it here first on the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show, okay? Because you know here, we break news before a lot of these larger channels, okay? So now pay attention. He said that they went to Fort Bayou to the launch where his buddy lives with his grandparents. That is Bart. And I'm going to tell you why you know it's Bart, because in a minute he's going to say, which I already noticed this morning, that he called Bart and asked him if he would bring his boat. And Bart said, yeah, my granddad's not going. Okay, let's continue. And that's when I said, hold on, I'll get to that in a second.
You, Nolan, and how many people are going to meet you guys there?
We had roughly 20 to 30 people coming on 3 separate boats with us. And so we were all following each other out there as one big group. You know, it wasn't just me and Nolan and a couple other of my buddies. There was 20 or 30 people spread out where we all met at the dock before, and then we departed to go to Horn Island. It wasn't just a couple of us. I mean, there were so many people, we had to split up between 3 boats, and we all left and all got there at the same time.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that's clear, because the statements that are out there made it appear that it was just you, Nolan, and probably 2 or 3 other guys, and y'all are the only ones that went out to this island.
And that's completely incorrect. I mean, Horn Island on the 4th of July is the most popular day to be on the water on, throughout the entire Gulf Coast. I mean, everybody and their mom is on the water on 4th of July, There's no telling. I mean, roughly probably 2 to 3, maybe even 4,000 people out there. There were boats lined up off the island. I mean, there was 3 rows of boats all the way until my vision ended, until I could see of people there was 1 row of boats, and then there was another row of boats, and then there was a 3rd row of boats.
Yeah.
I mean, there was people lined up all up and down the island to where, I mean, who knows? I mean, and that wasn't just, we were parked on the north side, on the west tip. It wasn't just there. I mean, there's tons of people packed out on the south side and on the east end and in the middle of the island. But just where we were, I mean, there was easily 1,000 people. It wasn't just us.
Let's go back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back to you guys at the dock, getting on the boat. You're saying there's multiple people, probably 20 or 30 people getting on 3 boats.
Right.
What boat were you on, and what boat was Nolan on?
Nolan was on Wyatt 22 Triton. On the way out, I went with my buddy Bart, because we had a lot of friends from college coming down, and I called Bart that morning. I was like, "Hey man, can you take your boat out?" And he was like, "Yeah, well, my dad decided not to go, and I'll take the boat, and I'll take you and your friends." Of course. I mean, he's a buddy of mine. And so Bart pulled up at the dock, and I mean, I rode out there with Bart and a lot of the girls that go to college with my friends and I, and Nolan rode out on the Triton, and then we had a Palm Beach, 18 Palm.
Let me stop right there. First of all, let me correct myself. He didn't say Bart's grandfather decided not to go. He said his father. Okay. Now, with that all being said, but they did say still that Bart lives in Fort Bayou. But here's the thing. Did you all catch that? So he said he called Bart and asked him. Now, this seems like it was last minute, because they had already made plans of how they were going to get out there and whose boat they were going to go on, which was supposed to be Wyatt's. But then he says he called Bart, his buddy, and asked him if he would bring his boat out. But then did you catch what he said after? He said because there was a lot of people coming down from college, the girls were coming. He didn't want Nolan around the girls, around him and with those girls. That's what I think it was. I think he was a little insecure around Nolan. If I had to venture to guess, this is all alleged, pure speculation. But the fact that he said they were going to be they were going to be going with Bart because all the girls who went to college with him were coming down. So that makes me feel like he didn't want Nolan on the boat with all those girls while he's there. Maybe it was going to be some competition. And so he calls Bart, "Hey man, I need you to bring your boat." Because he didn't want to ride on that darn boat with all them chicks with Nolan. Okay, that's what I think. But let's continue.
Long Beach, there was 4 guys on that. There was like 8 people on the Triton, and then there was 8 or 9 people on the Triton, and then there was the rest of the group, which was ranged.
Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. That's all I wanted you all to hear. Nolan spent the night with them, him and Wyatt. The next day, they go to breakfast. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he say that we got up and went to McDonald's and Nolan wasn't with me? But didn't he say we went? But then when he came back, when he was talking later on, he says he ran to McDonald's and came back. So then it seems like he tried to switch it and make it seem like it was just a quick run. He just went and got him something to eat and came back. Did y'all catch that? Some of the times when he was saying things, he would catch himself slipping up and then he would try to clean it up. But many of the times he did not catch himself. Okay, he didn't catch himself much of the time. Okay, so now let's go to this next clip. So what do we get from that? What do we get from that? We got that it seems like Nolan was the odd man out. It seems like Warren didn't really want Nolan around. Why does he need to try to go out there with you all and get on the boat? And then you say it's as an afterthought. Well, he was always welcome. You never went to his house because he really wasn't your friend. And I don't even think that you ever really liked him. Okay, that's what I don't think. And like I told you all weeks ago, I believe that in fact, some of them were hanging out with Nolan just for clout because Nolan is the one that likely attracted attention. Okay, Nolan was likely the one that attracted attention. But let's go to this next clip. Like, so everyone, please like and share. Get my overlay.
When did that occur, and what happened there?
Okay, well, that night, about 12:30, I went back to my buddy's house.
And you said the night of the 4th?
The night of the 4th, but it was about 12:30, I would like to say. And so I went back to my buddy's house. I stayed the night before, where we all met up, and stayed together the night before. And my buddy got a call from this guy, and the guy was like, "Oh, what's going on with all this Nolan stuff?" Very aggravated. I mean, yeah, every right to be, but I mean,
please pay attention. I got a call from my buddy and he was very irate. He was like, "What's up with all this Nolan stuff?" Now, the reason the friend was asking that is because it was at that point that he'd realized that Nolan was probably missing. And then he says, now he's Nolan's best friend, let him tell it. He's the one that feels like that's his brother. But instead of him being irate and frantic and concerned and panicked, he says that his friend was that way. And then he says it's an afterthought. I mean, he had every right to be. But why weren't you the same way, beloveds? I have several questions.
We were trying to calm him down, and he was just like, "Oh, where are y'all at?" My buddy said, we're at my buddy's house, and he said,
my buddy said we're at my buddy's house. See how he's trying to hold this all in? Now, I'm thinking the person who was frantic, let me tell y'all something. And just remember, you guys, you heard this here first on the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. He says that the buddy was all irate. We're trying to calm him down. Why was this man so upset and irate? Do you all think that just maybe this buddy of which he speaks was upset because he either thought or possibly knew? I don't think he knew, but maybe he thought that they had done something to Nolan. And that's why he called him going off and being frantic, because he's looking at the headlines or he's looking at the news, the social media, and they're saying Nolan's missing or whatever. And he's calling them like, where the hell's Nolan? Like, what's going on? What happened? What's going on? And he's like, "Oh, we're trying to calm him down. He's all frantic and irate." I mean, he had every right to be, but you weren't. And why not? For someone who's your brother and best friend.
All right. And then he just hung up. And so about 30 minutes later, I'd like to say, all of a sudden the door just got open and slammed, and there was a girl who walked in, and probably about 8 or 9 guys behind her, and then another mom, which was Javon's mom. And
who's Javon? I want to put that in perspective. Who is Javon?
Javon is one of Nolan's good friends. He's a friend of mine too. Great guy, and his mom and their family.
Javon is not Warren's friend. And I'm going to tell you how I know. Because he said he's Nolan's friend. And then he said he's a friend of mine too, as an afterthought. Pay attention to the things that he says as an afterthought. Because if Javon was really his friend, he would have said, "That's our friend. That's me and Nolan's friend," or "That's our buddy," like he's been saying. But he didn't say that. Okay? Please pay attention.
Is, very close to the Wells family. And so I don't know why she was there, what was going on, but I was very surprised by this. I was like, you just basically kicked the door open and bust up in the house with no knock or anything.
So is Javon black or white?
Javon's mixed. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, I guess he's mixed.
Yeah.
So, but he's not white.
No, he's not white.
Just white.
Yeah.
Or all white, I guess you might call it.
Yeah.
So then they come in the house. Do you know any of these people?
I know some of the guys.
the mom, but do you know anybody else?
I've seen the mom before, and I know most of them. Most of the guys went to high school with me, and like I'm friends with some of the guys. I mean, you know, I know some of them. So eventually, like things started to get heated, and I was just like a guy I was friends with in high school. He was like, "Man, come outside with me," and I was like, "All right." And I walked outside with him. He was like, "Man, I don't know why. Like they're panicking, and like this is just like I think Nolan's just on somebody's couch. He's been drinking all day. He's just messed up, and this is nothing that we have to worry about." As much as I sat there and I told him, I was like, I agree. I would think he's on somebody's couch, just had been drinking all day and just.
So I told you all, I pointed this out to you all weeks ago, or not weeks ago, but whenever this interview aired. Now he's sitting there saying that he agreed with him that Nolan was probably just asleep on someone's couch. But if that's all you thought, and it was such, a minuscule thing for you to concern yourself with, why did you call the Coast Guard? And why did you call Mrs. Wansley? And then tell her not to panic. Oh, don't panic. I'm going to call the Coast Guard. If you thought that he was actually asleep on someone's couch, he makes no sense.
Drank too much and was super intoxicated. And, that's kind of what a lot of us thought, but they were kind of losing it and they were going crazy. And the mom that was with him demanded Nolan's phone because Nolan left the phone on the boat. And when we ran in, Nolan didn't ask for his phone and his keys were not on the boat because his car was parked at my buddy's house where we had all slept, the night before the 4th. And so the keys were left at the house because Nolan's car was at my buddy's house where we stayed at. So of course he left his keys there. But his phone, he was drinking. He didn't have his phone in the water because no one did. And there was more than just Nolan's phone that wasn't on the boat with us.
So it was more than just Nolan's phone that was on the boat.
Yeah, we obviously had all our phones, but on the boat. But
well, that's the end of that clip. Okay, this dude is something else. And so we're supposed to think that Javon's mom just came and kicked in their door like she was running stuff. I don't believe him. Now, and also pay attention to how he's telling a whole lot of lies here. Okay, I'm not just going to say he's being deceptive. Now, in some cases he is, but in many cases he's flat out lying. First of all, he said that when Tashima came, Javon's mother, and he didn't call her by name, he said, "I knew the mom." He said something like that. But he said he didn't know why she was there. That's what he said at first. I don't know why she was there. You do know why she was there. She came to get that phone. And let me tell you all something too. Now pay attention to this. Pay attention to this, okay? Because here's what's going on here. Now, it seems to me that everyone that found out about what happened with Nolan before they knew exactly what happened, but when Nolan didn't return home, all eyes were on him. All eyes were on him because think about it. The so-called friend called him and was going off. And then pay attention to what he said at the end of their conversation. He said, then he just hung up. Now, if you're concerned about your friend, I'm concerned about my friend, and we all have the same friend. We should both be concerned about our friend. So why would I hang up on you? That person that called him felt like he did something or they did something to Nolan. That's what it sounds like. And that's why he was frantic, upset, wanted answers. And when he didn't get them, he hung up that darn phone because he was probably tired of them trying to brush him off, trying to calm him down, and trying to act like, oh, there's nothing to see here. Okay? And then when Tashima came to get the phone, she likely had the same energy. Let's continue. Because I have a receipt I'm going to drop in a minute. Let's go to this next clip. Lights up, everyone, please like and share. Here we go. FBA Justice. It says, this Warren guy is all over the place. Nothing seems to be truthful about him. A full undercover hater and liar. Clearly no friend to Nolan. Just my opinion. Well, yours and mine both, beloved. I have to agree. A whole hater is what he seems like. And thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings.
Let's know.
Now, listen to this, because I'm here to prove that No was not drunk. And this is the first receipt, and it came right out of Warren's lips.
Nolan was drinking, but he seemed fine. So he's letting us know Nolan was drinking, but he was not drunk.
Well, I had a couple conversations with Nolan that day. I talked to Nolan, and Nolan was drinking. Everybody was drinking, most of everybody. And Nolan seemed completely fine every time I talked to him. We had just regular conversations, and Nolan was making me laugh. I had a couple conversations with Nolan and Javon, Nolan and my buddy James, Nolan, and I could tell you, I talked to Nolan a couple times, but it wasn't like I was strictly sitting there talking to Nolan the whole day. There was hundreds of people I knew out there. So
he wasn't with Nolan all day. He's letting us know Nolan was drinking, but he seemed fine. So he's letting us know Nolan was drinking, but he was not drunk.
And why did he feel the need to expressly say that I wasn't with Nolan all day? It's not like I was with Nolan all day. No one asked you if you were. Why would he even say that? And I'm sure he wasn't with Nolan all day, because he didn't even want Nolan to be there, in my opinion. But let's keep listening. This dude is telling the whole story, bit by bit.
I had a couple conversations with Nolan that day. I talked to Nolan, and Nolan was drinking. Everybody was drinking, most of everybody. And Nolan seemed completely fine every time I talked to him. We had just regular conversations, and Nolan was making me laugh. I had a couple conversations.
Y'all heard it. Nolan was making me laugh. Nolan was drinking. Why did he have to separately say Nolan was drinking? Why did he have to bring up drinking, period? That's because he wants us to think that Nolan was drinking. But he also said Nolan was fine. And I'm sure that they didn't want him to say that. Now, here's the next receipt. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. And this comes straight from Nolan's mother. And this what his mother said when I watched this earlier. When his mother says what she's about to say again, that's when I was like, okay, there's no way Nolan would have been doing anything like that if the coach was there, because the coaches were there. Okay? And Nolan knew he had D1 football training that Monday, and the coaches are there too. He definitely wouldn't have been drinking or doing illegal substances.
Recognition. We've seen this where things have happened, especially when we talk about the Black community. And, after the death, it's a smear campaign. It's, what can we find out about this person? What can we say? And, that's something, my family and I, especially my husband and I, we definitely do not appreciate. But, we can't fight everyone that wants to have an opinion. But also, too, it's part of society that has been allowed to occur, which is it's gut-wrenching at best. Because if you were in our situation, how would you feel if there were millions of people who are saying, oh, hey, well, he was at an island, he was heavily drunk. And again, even with the drinking, there are so many conflicting stories, only because I have spoken with adults who knew Nolan very well, coaches that were out there. One in particular, I think he told me he saw Nolan somewhere between like 2:45 and 3:30. He was like, Christine, yeah, we talked for a while. We talked about college. We talked about his life, his plans. And he was like, he was perfectly fine. Because I think it had bothered him too, that there was this narrative of, oh, he was sloppy drunk. Like and it started at the very beginning. It was, oh, he was sloppy drunk. And I'm like, but was he though? Or is this a narrative that you guys want to use to kind of have us just accept that it was a drowning?
That's exactly what it is, beloved. That's exactly what it is. Okay, so the coach saw Nolan there, okay, and said that Nolan didn't seem drunk at all. And that's likely because he wasn't, okay? So they're busted. I bet they didn't have that on their bingo card. Okay, please pay attention. I bet that was not on their bingo card. Now let's go to this next clip, because Warren just keeps telling all these lies. Now, here's another lie that we seem to have caught him in. Let's get into it. This is all nefarious. That's right. Don Cartier said even if he was drinking, the booze didn't kill him. You're absolutely right.
Nolan Wells' case is pressure. And all of his friends is finding out they're not diamonds in the rough because the cover-up is beginning to crack. Let's talk about it. Nolan Wells' quote-unquote friends is saying fuck the police and starting to do their own thing. Because yesterday, remember, Bart's family hired an attorney and a private investigator to go after the internet investigators. Now today, Warren's family has contacted TMZ to put out their $50,000 reward. Now, why is that? They were just working with the police. Oh, that's right. They hired Officer Tatum. They thought he was going to get us to quiet down. So now they got to use their own tactic because that didn't work. Mr. Tatum, bring your ass to the front. You want to talk about people don't know about boats. Let's talk about.
Wait a second. Did you hear what she just said? They hired Officer Tatum. They thought he was going to get us to quiet down. Now they got to come out of their own pockets. So do you think that he thinks, and I'm talking about Bart's father, no, Warren's father is the one who offered the money. Do you think that he believes that if a black person finds out, figures out, or knows anything, he can give them $50,000 to shut them up? He likely absolutely thinks that. He likely absolutely thinks that. And some of y'all would too. Sad thing about it. Some of y'all would absolutely take that $50,000 and hush. Just in my opinion, Hipster says, remember, Warren took his truck, Wyatt's boat, and went to McDonald's that morning and left Nolan and then drove the boat to Jerry's house. But when they came for the phone, it was in Wyatt's truck. How sway. Wait a second. It was in Wyatt's truck. Now, here's the thing. But I always thought that it was in Wyatt's truck because it was left on Wyatt's boat. Because that's what they initially said. That they took the phones out and put them in some sort of lockbox or whatever. So I was thinking, okay, are they trying to say that when they left, they just had his phone because it was on the boat, and then when they got to the house, they just took everything off the boat, including the phone, and then they just put it in Wyatt's truck. That's how I took it. But listen, beloved, these devils lie so much and contradict themselves and each other, there's no telling what they did. But what I do know, what we all know, is that they darn sure didn't give that phone up voluntarily, and it took them forever to bring it out, according to Tashima. And I sure believe her and Javon before I believe anything that these minions say. Okay? Thank you for your insight to the topic and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. But hold on, because here comes a receipt, and it's coming from Big Kish. Let's get into it. And shout out to Big Kish. I like his channel. Y'all should follow.
Boat. See, y'all so damn dumb. Y'all keep spilling shit out your mouth that people ain't even focused on. Let's talk about this boat. Okay. The call into Cito said the bilge pump was not working and water was entering the boat. Now, if the bilge pump is not working and water is entering the boat, why in the hell? And don't forget that they're in 31 feet of water, according to the Cito call. Why in the hell would you get in and pull the plug? Wouldn't that make water come into the boat and make you sink in that 31 feet of water? 1 point. That was for Mr. Tatum with his dumb ass. Bam. Second point. Shout out to Big Kish over on YouTube. His explanation of who the hell pulled the plug, because we got conflicting information. But Tatum brought this boat up.
Amongst them, the statement said he piloted his own boat to Horn Island and piloted his own boat home when a nearby boat suffered a mechanical malfunction on the afternoon of the 4th Bart Jr. gave advice and direct aid to the distressed vessel. As a part of this, he boarded the distressed vessel. He boarded the distressed vessel, removed its transom plug. He removed the damn plug. It says Bart said he removed the plug, got back onto his boat, and towed the distressed vessel for a short distance. These actions allowed water that had accumulated on the distressed vessel to drain. So it says Bart removed the plug. Watch this.
When did you feel like, well, wait a minute, where's Nolan?
Right. Okay. Well, running in was very chaotic. I mean, Nolan chose to stay on the island, so my focus wasn't on anything else other than the boat, because if the boat doesn't get in, then no one gets in. I don't want to sink out there on my buddy's boat, and no one does. But my buddy Wyatt jumped out and pulled the plug on the boat.
Oh! Got him. Ha! He said Wyatt pulled the plug. Now, I'm sorry, say what? Let's continue.
That's not what we just read. We didn't just read that Wyatt pulled the plug. What the hell did we just read? Because he said Wyatt pulled the plug.
My buddy Wyatt jumped out and pulled the plug on the boat.
What we just read is Bart Jr. gave advice and direct aid to the distressed vessel. As part of this, he boarded the distressed vessel, removed its transom plug, got back into his boat. So he said he removed the transom plug.
My buddy Wyatt jumped out and pulled the plug on the boat once we kind of got out there.
So who was it? Was it Wyatt or was it Bart, the one who claimed that he wasn't even there in the first place?
Mr. Tatum, see, you opened up a whole nother can of worms. The Ceto audio that you said that we didn't know what we were listening to. We were listening to that background, but you accused us of not knowing about boats. So I said, let me check on this boat information. And lo and behold, the Ceto call stated they had a failed bilge pump. And they were in 31 feet of water, meaning, and they were going down, they were sinking, water was entering the boat. But if you pull the plug in 31 feet of water, it's going to sink the boat even more.
Okay, y'all heard that. Damn it. Now I got to edit the video because she said the C word that I don't like people saying. Hold on. Let me put the timestamp on here. Shout out to the replay gang. When you watch this, there won't be a chat, sadly, because I've got to edit that when she said it. And you know what? Something told me to cut her off right there. But hold on. Let me say this. Now, here's the thing. She's absolutely right. And that's what I was sitting here thinking. Why would you pull the plug in 31 feet of water? You're not supposed to do that. For one, like she said, the boat would sink even further. Okay, because for one, the drain plug should never be removed until the boat is safely on the trailer or on a dry dock or hoisted on a boat lift. The plug must be fully inserted and tightened before you launch the boat in the water. Pulling a transom drain plug while a boat is sitting in the water is extremely dangerous and will cause the boat to rapidly flood and potentially sink. So what does that mean? What does that mean, beloveds? I'm so glad you asked. That means the boat wasn't sinking. That means the boat wasn't sinking, okay? I don't think the boat was ever sinking. Remember, I told you all that from day one? I told you that was their alibi. You heard that here first on the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show, because on here, we break stories before these other big channels in many cases. So please pay attention. I told y'all that. That boat was not in distress, because if you also remember, another thing I told you is that when Warren sat up there with Tatum talking about the water was covering the battery, I said if the water was covering the battery, honey, that boat would have been inoperable. Okay, please make that make sense. Furthermore, he even said in one part of the interview that the water almost was almost getting to the transom. And I said, now that would be a serious problem. And I also told you that when they said Bart tied a rope and pulled the boat, I told you how that made no sense. Due to the velocity, the riptide's occurrence, even no matter, we don't know exactly how the water was, but even if the water was calm that day, that is still a very dangerous thing to do because boats weigh thousands of pounds. And you have that one little rope. And then Secret Service Sam said something because I was thinking about that last night. And I said, now that picture with that rope looking like it's tied to the boat. And I think I actually said this on live the other day when I showed it to you all, that picture. I said, now that rope that's supposed to be tied to that boat, is that just a ruse? Because I don't even think that was really tied to the boat, or that's just something. Is that even the same boat on the same day, or is that a picture they just put out there? I don't know. But last night I was watching Secret Service Sam's video, and he said, I don't want to misquote him, but I think he said something about that might be fake or something like that. But basically, he didn't believe it either. He didn't seem to believe it either. Okay. I don't think there was ever anything wrong with that boat, like I told you all a week or so ago, which is why the call was canceled. They were clearly establishing their alibi, in my opinion. Okay, Bart, this is all alleged. Okay, now FBI Justice says, why would you pull the plug in 31 feet of water? That is done after Nolan was harmed. They panicked. Well, see, here's the thing. They did panic. I absolutely believe it. But I don't think they were panicking about the boat. They were panicking as in what should we do? And I believe, like I told you all days ago, that they called the grandfather. Wyatt's grandfather informed him that something had happened. And I think that he instructed them to make that phone call. Okay? I think that he instructed them to make that phone call. So they would have an alibi because the phone calls are recorded and they're time stamped. And if you're going through an emergency, such as your boat sinking, well, you don't have time to be out there doing something nefarious to someone, do you? But see, as luck would have it, the GPS data was released and showed and proved that their boat, where they made the call from, was in the same vicinity where Nolan's body was found just 2 days later. And for those of you who missed the broadcast where I told you all that I did the math, and that is only because they were on the western tip of Horn Island, and Nolan's body was found on the northwestern tip. And one of the Mega Millions tried to say, oh, they weren't even in the same vicinity. They were, because those 2 points are only 1 to 3 miles apart. The entire island is only 10 to 13 miles. So that makes very much sense. Okay? That makes very much sense. And FBA Justice, beloved, thank you for your insight to the topic and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, Mrs. HP said the rope would be in the front if it was pulled, not to the side. That was another thing. I'm like, first of all, that you're absolutely right about that, because I don't see how that would make any sense. Okay, I never had to pull a boat, but it would seem to me, okay, that it would have been at the front of the boat and not the side. I absolutely agree. Now, I have to do some research on that later just to confirm. Now, Vince says, on the call with the dispatch, Warren said they were in 17 and then 31 feet of water. Yes, I pointed that out the other day that he switched it. Then he said he wanted the boat unsunk and towed back. And 31 feet of water, yeah, right. Exactly. These people are losing it. Okay, Hipster says, Warren said they were in 6 inches of water. That means water was under the boat. No water touched the floor. We heard no water splashing during the call. You know, I thought about that the other night, beloved. I literally was thinking what we didn't hear was water, especially if it was up over the battery and almost reaching the transom. You're absolutely right. And then he couldn't even tell the lady how much water was in the boat. That's because there was no water in the boat. The boat was never sinking. That's how I arrived at that conclusion, when he could not answer that lady's questions. And he didn't seem like he was panicked. He just sounded like he was drunk and annoyed. Yeah, what? So who talks like that when your boat is literally sinking? And then here's another thing. Don't forget what I told you all the other day. Now, you heard that here first, too. I told you all that Bart, when Warren said his buddy was yelling and screaming for Nolan to get the F on the boat, well, that had to be Bart telling him to get on his boat. Because remember, Warren already told us that he rode out there with Bart because they had all those girls from college, right? And then Nolan rode out there with Wyatt. But if Wyatt's boat was sinking, what did I tell you? Why would Nolan get on a sinking boat? Why would Bart be so insistent for Nolan to get on a sinking boat? Because the more weight is on a sinking boat, it's going to go down. So with that all being said, either the boat wasn't sinking, which I don't think it was, clearly. So if the boat wasn't sinking, why are they lying? To establish their alibi. And then if Bart was actually calling Nolan to get on the boat, he would have had to have been calling Nolan to get on his boat. I told you all that the other day. I think it was yesterday or the day before, that I believe that he was on Bart's boat. Yeah, Bart, you got some explaining to do, and so does Warren. Okay, so does Warren. I just want to know, was Nolan on your boat or Warren's boat? Because somebody needs to come clean. But I'm going to tell you something. Somebody's going to crack. Just watch. Someone is about to crack in the next week or two. I think someone's going to crack. And here's why. Because there's too much stuff coming out. But hold on. Let me get to the stuff that I haven't gotten to. Another thing I pointed out to you all the other day, and Hipster, thank you for your insight and your contribution, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Now listen, here is another thing I told you all. Remember how Warren stated that the last time he laid eyes on Nolan was at 3 o'clock? Isn't that what he said? But then he said when they were leaving, right, which they left at 4:31, so he said that when we were leaving, he saw Nolan cradling Katie, walking through the water with water almost up to his neck or chest. And then, and his buddy was yelling. So that would have had to have been around, it wasn't 4:30 because that's when they actually made the call to Cito at 4 o'clock. So yeah, I think the GPS data showed that they made the call at about 4 o'clock, and then they left at 4:31. So from the time that he claims he last saw Nolan, which would have been 3 o'clock, and then they waited an hour and a half after that, okay, a whole 90 minutes before they left. So what were they doing out there in the water all that time? What were they doing out there in the water all that time? I think they were hatching and concocting a plan, like I told you all. Okay, because why are y'all just sitting out there on the water? And if you remember, in one of the reports, it talked about how they were stationary. Okay, wasn't it for like over an hour? And then all of a sudden they took off. What are y'all sitting out there on the water for? That's how you know the boat wasn't sinking. Because y'all couldn't have sat out there on that darn water all that time if the boat was literally sinking, nor would you have canceled the call to Cito and not answered the lady's questions when she was clearly trying to help. FBA Justice says, I predict all of their lives will sink them, pun intended. Okay, I hope they do, beloved. I absolutely hope they do. Thank you for insight into the topic and your contribution. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, so now that we've gone through the rigmarole, let's get down to business. Because hold on. Hold on. Oh, I'm sorry. We got to go back to Warren. Now listen to this. See, Warren's telling everything. Do you all not realize how Warren is just telling the whole story piece by piece? He literally is. I feel like I'm caught in a game of Clue. Okay, now listen to Warren in this video.
In the interview with Brandon Tatum, and not only did he lie, the lie he told is extremely problematic. I did a really full breakdown of this on a YouTube video. But then like 2-3 minutes later in the interview, he's talking about how they found the boat taken on water and had to be towed out. And it was 4:30, an hour and a half past 3 o'clock. And he said this.
Nolan was sitting by the boat with that Katie girl.
So wait a minute. If the last time you saw Nolan was at 3 o'clock, then how did you know he was beside the boat with Katie McCormick at 4:30? Also, Katie McCormick's the person that they keep saying is who he said, I'm going to stay behind with. But Katie McCormick herself disputes that, and he disputes that in this same interview.
And I heard the girl that he was with, Katie, had text somebody that she heard people yelling
correct
for Nolan to get on it. Is that true?
And I have a picture of that. She texted my buddy, and the next day everybody was panicking and everybody's texting Katie, because she was.
Did y'all catch that? He tried to clean it up. Listen to this now, because they had already said that Nolan had just met Katie, which I don't believe that's true, because Katie knows his relatives. And in fact, I reported to you all on July the 7th, I think it was July the 7th that I reported to you all that, in fact, Katie was cooperating with the family. She had spoken to the family and was supposed to be cooperating with the police. Now, Morris Royalty says, I think they was going to sink the boat in a panic on that distress call when Nolan on it and make it look like a drowning. Well, that's a theory. I mean, if they were going to do that, that means they would have all had to transfer to Bart's boat. Maybe that was the plan. Who knows? I don't know, beloved. We're still fishing. I don't really think they were going to sink the boat. Like I told you all, I think that there was a concerted effort to establish the alibi, and I think the grandfather told him to do it. That's what I'm going with. Okay? Thank you for insight. That is a theory. And thank you for contributing to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Now watch this. He just said that my buddy texts Katie. Who's the buddy that texts Katie? Oh, that's right. Sounds like it might have been Bart. Sounds like it may have been Bart. He said, my buddy texts Katie. And then he changes it up when he realizes what he just said, and he cleans it up and says, everybody was texting Katie. How would everybody be texting her? If all of you all were together, then only one of you would need to text Katie. Okay, please pay attention. The lies are coming out. Let me just roll it back a clip, a second or two.
Panicking and everybody's texting Katie, because she was obviously seen with Nolan.
Hold
on.
Correct.
For Nolan to get on it. Is that true?
And I have a picture of that. She texted my buddy, and the next day everybody was panicking and everybody's texting Katie, because she was obviously seen with Nolan the whole day at the island. Katie sent a message to my buddy the next day and said, this is the last time I saw him, he's really sweet. But she also mentioned that the last time she saw Nolan was when my buddy was yelling at him to get on the boat.
This is a red flag from hell. Anytime you're talking about the timeline of events on the day in question, especially as it pertains around the last time someone was seen alive, he says Wyatt was yelling for Nolan from the boat. Get on the boat. Get the fuck on the boat, Nolan. He says that Katie's text message confirms she saw Nolan by the boat at 4:30, and he says that Nolan was on the boat, beside the boat at 4:30. So everybody says he was beside the boat at 4:30, and then they didn't take him with them. According to them, he stayed behind, but nobody else, the thousands of people on Horn Island, saw him after 4:30.
Well, now somebody's saying that they did see him. But here's the thing. Did you all catch this? So he said, and I find this to be very telling. He said that Katie sent a text, and then he says, I have a picture of the text. Well, why did he feel the need to take a picture of the text? Mind you, he didn't say she texted him, but he said he has a picture of the text. Why would you need to take a picture of her text unless you were trying to save it for proof of something? But why would you need to have proof of anything if you didn't have anything to do with what happened to your friend? I'm not saying he had anything to do with it, but I do have several questions. Bart, looks like you need to be suing your boy right here. Hold on. This is the last clip of Warren, and then I got to move on to these other receipts.
With my buddy Bart, because we.
Hold on.
We had a lot of friends from college coming down, and Bart, I called Bart that morning. I was like, hey, man, can you take your boat out? And he was like, yeah, well, my dad.
Okay, we already saw this one. I made a mistake and said that to myself twice. Okay, so yeah, this is all very interesting. Okay, now, that all been said, likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. So there is a woman. First of all, let me go to Katie's receipts. Okay, here we go.
Xavier Wells update, and this thing's falling apart. It appears that your girl Katie is talking and dropping receipts. Check out this wonderful creator's video on it.
Uh-oh, looks like our girl KK said you're not gonna get me. Look who just uploaded and dropped some receipts to the Biloxi group chat showing where they were at. Our girl KK, and I can't say her name, but it rhymes with Haiti, has provided timestamp receipts, videos, pictures from where she was at in Ocean Springs, and you see the time right down there, 6:02 p.m. And guess who's not with her? KK said there's no way y'all gonna keep playing on her name, babes. 5:24 p.m. She's got the receipts. She was not with who y'all said she was with. I mean, she's got multiple receipts. Yeah, like her face, location. That's very clearly her. I mean, this is a picture from her Facebook, and I just matched you with one of the pictures that was posted to White and Proud. All these photos basically giving us timestamps of where she was at. Which is very interesting, because if she was on the boat with her friends and wasn't where y'all said she was, where everybody at?
So if she wasn't there on the island that day and wasn't the last one to be seen with Nolan, where does this leave us? Secret Service Sam out, Samson for president.
Okay, the plot clearly thickens. Now, but hold on. Now, hold on. Now, listen to this. Because somebody says that Nolan was out there on that island for 13 hours. And we know that according to reports from Warren and them, they weren't out there that long. And it really seems like they didn't stay very long to have taken that trip all the way out there and made all these plans. And y'all arrived there at 11. You got to the dock at 9. You got to Horn Island at like 11 something. And then you left at 4:30. Like, why would they go all the way out there and just stay for such a short length of time? That usually seems like an all-day event, but for whatever reason, they decided to leave early. Now, they say it was because the boat was sinking, but I don't think that boat was ever sinking, like I told you all at least a week ago. Okay, so let's go to this next clip of what this woman had to say.
Sam here with what could be another break in the Nolan Xavier Wells case. This is some mother who claims her son is friends with Nolan. Check this audio out.
Now, here's the weird thing to me. This is what stands out to me the most. When we found out that Nolan was missing, my son immediately snapped him, and then Christine messaged him back and said, "I have Nolan's phone now." This was at 12:53, according to the screenshot that I have. This was at 1:53 in the morning. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he, for whatever reason, I don't know if he was gonna, I don't know why he took the screenshot, to be honest with you. I think it was maybe even a God thing. But he took a screenshot of Nolan's location on Snapchat because they shared locations with each other. And on that screenshot, it shows Nolan basically in the middle of the Gulf, like right off of Horn Island. It said that he had been at that location for 13 hours, which would make sense if you just back up that timeline. That would make sense around the time that they would have arrived at the island. But what was weird was that his location did.
Secret Service Sam here, and this Nolan Xavier Wells case is.
Hold on, beloveds. I don't know how I did that. Hold on. Dang it. How the hell did I do that? Let's see here. Hold on. I have to find that because I deleted it. Hold on. Damn it, man. How did I do that? Hold on. Give me a second. Okay, I'm going to have to, hold on. I'm going to have to go to Sam's page and send that back to myself. Okay, I got to go to Sam's page and find that video because I need to hear the last part of it. While I'm pulling that up, you all just listen to this next video. Like, everyone, please like and share. I accidentally clicked on something. Okay, here we go.
They're not believing that this was some type of accident. He was allegedly going to see a girl, and so I guess a guy named Warren, one of the friends, left him behind. He went on another boat. There is video circulating online that almost shows that there was some type of potential altercation or fight that took place. Then it turns out one of the kids who made it back safely, their parent is a judge, and all the kids are lawyered up. Why would you be so lawyered up so quickly if there was nothing that you did wrong? Now, this is reminding a lot of people of Tamla Horsford, who died on November 4th, 2018 in Cummings, Georgia. She's a Black mother of 5. She attended an adult sleepover with mostly white female friends. The next morning, she was found dead in the backyard. Official investigations by the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation concluded her death was accidental as a fall from a backyard deck. How do you just fall from a backyard deck? Authorities cited severe intoxication with her autopsy revealing a blood alcohol level of 0.238. Anyway, her family and community advocates heavily disputed the official findings, citing timeline discrepancies, the presence of
Okay, sorry y'all had to listen to Sam's video from the beginning. This is one of his videos from when we first all started reporting on this. Okay, and shout out to Sam for doing his due diligence. All right, now let's go back to that video. Here we go. Lights up, everyone. Please like and share. We're almost out of here. I did not want this video to be this long. Oh my goodness.
Sam here with what could be another break in the Nolan Xavier Wells.
I'm going to fast forward.
Which would make sense if you just back up that timeline. That would make sense. Basically in the middle of the Gulf, like right off of Horn Island. It said that he had been at that location for 13 hours, which would make sense if you just back up that timeline. That would make sense around the time that they would have arrived at the island. But what was weird was that his location didn't change. It said that he was last active an hour prior to that. And my son, I think it said it was like 53 minutes that 53 minutes prior to that my son had sent him a snap. So why the location didn't change is odd.
What's interesting about this is Nolan's last location that pinged him was still on Horn Island. And if the phone had been on, it would have pinged him to the house where his parents picked up the phone. So does this mean his phone was tampered with? And also on Snapchat, to get somebody's ping, you have to be a close friend. Who is this person? What do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments. Secret Service Sam out.
I don't know who that young man is of which she speaks. If her son really had that information, then he likely was actually Nolan's real friend, because he came forward and said something about that. If she's telling the truth and not clout chasing, because it's a whole lot of clout chasers out here. You never can be too sure. But hold on, there's one more receipt I'm going to show, and then I have to come back later. I'm going to have to show the rest of these receipts later. Okay, so now with that being said, we don't know if it's true or not. This is all hearsay. So she's claiming that according to her son, Nolan was out there for 13 hours and no one saw him. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll tell you who didn't see him. This lady right here. Okay, because this lady says she was parked right next to Nolan Wells's group. Okay, and she says, let me put this on the screen. It's a whole lot of shenanigans going on from the sounds of it. She said, we were parked right next to them and he was nowhere in sight when we left at 7:30. He was nowhere in sight when we left at 7:30. Okay? So what does that tell you? Somebody's lying. That's what. Okay? Because they want us to think that he was left on an island. Now, mind you, people were still out there at 6 and 7. And also, see, there's something that I caught at the first of the story when we were reporting from the very beginning. If you all remember, I want to say it was somebody from the Cajun Navy. I can't remember, but someone said that people sometimes spend the nights on Horn Island. And so none of those people camping out saw him. And then a couple of days later, the story changed. They came out and they said, oh, nobody's camps out at Horn Island. They have the Rangers out there and they run people off as soon as the sun starts going down. Do you all remember that? Do you all remember that? Hold on. Let me see something here real quick. Bam, there it is. So they lied. The devils lied again. See, here's the thing. You got to have good memory recall. See, I remember everything they were saying in the beginning, and that's because I've been reporting on it from day one. So here's what they say. Now, I told you all that in the beginning, they did say nobody saw him out there. And it was one of those Cajun Navy gentlemen. I can't remember which one, but one of them clearly said it. And then, like I said, 2 or 3 days later, maybe like a day or two later, they were saying, oh, nobody camps out there. The Rangers come and run them off. But guess what? When I looked it up, it says, yes, people do camp overnight at Horn Island, though it requires careful planning because the barrier island is completely primitive and undeveloped. Okay? So if he was out there after they left, then someone would have seen him. And we know that he wasn't left out there. So if he wasn't left out there, which we now know for a fact because nobody who camped out there didn't see him. The lady that said she was parked next to them left at 7:30, didn't see him anywhere. Now, of course, there was a bunch of people there, but by this time of evening, everyone's leaving. And nobody saw him. Now, these 2 people that they made up, in my opinion, after the truth started coming out, they said, oh, 2 people. Warren said, I saw 2 people. Wasn't it him that said it? I talked to somebody that said they saw him after 6 o'clock. Well, who is this somebody? What is their name? How can we contact them? Do they have an email, Warren? Because the lies, they're not standing up too good to the scrutiny. Okay, so here's what I think. I think that Nolan was on one of those boats. And if I had to venture to guess, I would think that he was likely on Bart's boat since they claimed their boat was sinking. At the end of the day, their boat really wasn't sinking, so he actually could have been on their boat. But what we do know is, damn it, Bart. Okay, that's what we know. Damn it, Bart. Check his chest. No. Wake the F up. But they said we didn't hear any of that, right? Yeah, that's what they said. Okay, please pay attention. This is a whole big cover up like none we've ever seen before. Okay, and I'm going to tell you all why this cover up is so massive when I come back for the next live. All right, I'm going to tell you all why this is so huge. All right. So anyway, with that all been said, listen, I love you all to life. Thank you for all of the super chat donations, for the cash apps. I appreciate you all. And I will be back later. Okay. And I mean sooner than later. Okay. Trust me. That's why I wanted to come in here early, because I'll be back in just a few hours with the next set of receipts. Okay. So until then, everyone enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Also, just for you to know, I will be clipping this video. Okay. So if there's some parts you want to go back and see, yeah, I'm going to clip it. All right. So anyway, with that all being said, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace. Hold on, I'm looking to see which of these songs. Okay, there we go.
Yeah. For Nolan Xavier Wells. 18 years old, gone too soon. Mississippi, y'all got some explaining to do. Mississippi, need to release that report. Low down, dirty ass Mississippi. What you hiding? Why you not talking? Why the hell you not saying a damn thing? Talk. I pray the family get real answers. And no, we the people won't go away. Never, hell no, not today. Mississippi, the Most High gonna really deal with you. July 4th lights, boat ride with the crew. Young King Nolan chasing dreams, Ocean Springs through and through. Horn Island called his name, he relaxing in the blue. 2 days later found on the sand. What happened to you? Independent autopsy dropped, but it's undetermined. Red mark on the back of the head, neck structures missing. Absurd. State sitting quiet, toxicology on the shelf. Family screaming for truth, but y'all protecting yourself. Nolan was a star athlete with a future bright. Now his mama crying every single night. Boating trip turned nightmare. Questions in the air. Who was on that island? Why the silence there? Mississippi, need to release that report. Low down, dirty ass Mississippi. What you hiding? Why you not talking? Why the hell you not saying a damn thing? Talk. I pray the family get real answers. And no, we the people won't go away. Never, hell no, not today. Mississippi, the Most High gonna really deal with you. Grand jury waiting, but the people still fighting. No severe trauma, they say, but the story don't add up clean. Ways whispering secrets, covering up the scheme. Oh, young black man gone, another one in the South. History repeating, time to open your mouth. What you hiding in them files? Why the delay? Transparency dying, why the family pray? Nolan's light was shining, future snatched away. Now the whole world watching what Mississippi say. We marching, we posting, we demanding justice loud for every mother losing sons behind that murky cloud. Oh. I pray the family get real answers. No more games, no more lies. No more games, no more lies. Nolan deserved better, the truth never dies. From the island to the courtroom, we standing tall.